Coming up next here on Channel 17, This Old House.
This Old House is made possible by member support and by a grant from Phillips Brothers Supply, 2525 Kensington Avenue, Amherst, specializing in tools for contractors, industry, homeowners, and hobbyists.
Now, Tom, it's 10 degrees and we still have sod to put down, more trees to go in, and a driveway. How about it?
Well, I can promise you the driveway, Steve, for sure. I'm a little worried about the plants and the sodding.
You know, we must be 18 feet off the deck up here, and it doesn't look like much when you're standing down there, but when you're standing up here looking down, it's pretty high.
Right.
And this is the time in a project where budget and reality either meet or collide. So where do we stand on budget?
Funding for This Old House is provided by State Farm Insurance and the more than 17,000 State Farm agents. For family insurance needs, auto, home, life, and health, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. And by Parks Corporation, makers of Carver Trip wood stains, clear finishes, and enamels, products that enrich, protect, and preserve the natural beauty of wood.
Hey, Norm.
Hey, Steve.
Boy, it's nice and warm down here, and boy, look at the headroom, you know?
I know, this is an incredible basement.
It's actually a good thing that we had to build on top of those rubble stone foundation walls, or else we never would have got this headroom.
That's right, because today in a normal foundation, you end up with less than 8 feet, and to pour a tall one costs a lot of extra money, so this is great. I think I'd put a shop down here.
Oh, you bet. Right away. Hey, this looks like a nail gun, but no compressor, no hoses. What's the story with this machine?
That's right, this is a new type of nail, relatively new, and it actually has its own self-contained engine.
Its own engine? You
Right.
mean cylinders, spark plugs, the whole shot?
Pretty much that's the
No
idea.
kidding.
There's a little battery here, which actually runs a little fan.
Yeah.
And the spark plug. And that'll last quite a while. And then in here, there's a little fuel cell.
So this is the gas tank.
That's right, this is the gas tank. There is a 2-part fuel in here that gets mixed together and sent out through this nozzle. And as you pull the trigger, it fires the spark plug. Now, the fuel cell is great. It's good for about 1,400 nails per cell. And the battery's good for about 4,000.
Well, that's amazing. Let's see it work.
You want to give it a try?
Yeah.
Good.
Just works like a regular nail gun?
Yeah, just press it against the 2x4. It's got a safety on
I
it.
hear the fan going on.
Yeah.
Okay, we got our contact. All right. Now, who would use a tool like this?
Well, contractors, it's made basically for contractors in a situation where you don't want to lug out the compressor and the hoses and all those things. You only have a few nails to put in, particularly up on a roof or something, a few sheets of plywood. This is a great tool to have.
Great. Well, mind if I borrow it?
You'll have to stand in line. There's a lot of people waiting to use this one.
I bet. Well, we're really rolling down here. There's all kinds of stuff going on here. This is, I don't recognize this. It's wire of some sort.
That's right. It's actually speaker wire. The WIC wires decided to put a central speaker system in, and you might as well run the wires now. You know?
You're not going to get a chance later. Well, some of this stuff, this looks like black pipe for gas up here.
That's right. It is gas piping, and even though there isn't gas out in the street, the WIC wires decided that they wanted to cook with gas. So that's the piping for a propane hookup, which will go to their stove.
Okay, and here's our copper feed lines for our water and our PVC waste lines. You know what these are?
Yeah, those are actually the ductwork for the air heat exchanger, which goes up to this piece of equipment here. And you know, Steve, I'm really glad that you decided to put one of these in, because when we set the panels on this building, I was concerned, and we were all concerned about the air because it's so tight, and this will do the job.
Well, I had a chance to talk with the installer, Rick Hartson, the other day. Let's have a look. Interior air pollution is becoming an increasing concern these days. We have with us Rick Hartson, who's going to explain it all to us. Hi, Rick.
Hi, Steve.
So what's our problem?
Well, the problem is we have too tight of a house.
Too tight of a house. Tom Silva's going to be overjoyed to hear you built it too well.
Yeah, that's
Why
true.
is that a problem?
Well, being so tight, it creates a lot of indoor pollutants.
Like how?
Like it doesn't let them escape. There's cooking odors, there's bathroom odors from aerosol cans, adhesives from countertops, building materials. They all give off different types of pollutants.
I see. So all this stuff sort of collects in a cloud in the house, and because the house is so tight, it can't escape.
Correct.
What are you going to do to solve that problem for us?
Well, what we're going to do is, with this piece of equipment here, we are going to take an exhaust, suck the air out of the house, and exhaust the polluted, dirty air to the outside. And as it goes to the outdoors, it passes over a heat exchanger. And this heat exchanger is like a bunch of fins with a large surface area. And at the same time, it draws fresh, clean air in from the outdoors and passes over that same heat exchanger and absorbs or extracts the heat from the outgoing air.
Now, there's kind of a contradiction here. But here we've built this very tight, very efficient house, and you're coming along and poking a big hole in it, and you're bringing cold air from the outside and pumping it into our house. I mean, doesn't that sort of defeat the whole purpose of an energy-efficient house?
Well, not really, because with this piece of equipment, we can regain 85% of the heat that we are discharging.
You give up a little heat, but that's not bad.
Right, right. It's a price you have to pay to have a healthy house.
Okay. Now, you're going to connect some ductwork up to this and,
Correct.
and to get it going. Is there any maintenance on this unit?
Very little. You have a filter that has to be changed or cleaned. It's washable, and you periodically check it, and if it's dirty, you clean it.
Okay. And what does it cost to buy and install one of these units?
For this particular system, you're talking $3,000 to $4,000.
Well, it seems like a hefty chunk of money, but one that is necessary for a healthy house.
Yes, it is.
Well, thanks, Rick. I'll let you get back to work.
Okay.
You know, Norm, what this building needs is a good set of stairs.
It sure does. But I understand that you're going out to Wisconsin to see them being made next week.
Yeah, that'll be interesting.
No,
So it
bring
won't be
them-
long before we have some stairs. Boy, there's a lot going on up here.
There sure is. You know, the drywall contractor started a few days ago, and the first thing I had to do was build these platforms to get up here.
Yeah, you know, we must be 18 feet off the deck up here, and it doesn't look like much when you're standing down there, but when you're standing up here looking down, it's pretty high.
That's right, and the only way to get up here is to take planks and run them across the beams and lay down sheets of plywood and drag up pipe staging so that you can get way up there at the peak.
Not a job for your typical homeowner.
No, I don't know what we were thinking of when we thought they could get up here and tape this and stage it and do all this work.
Now, we're drywalling here. What's happening here?
Well, it's drywalling is basically a three-part process. There's 3 coats of that mud that goes on. One with a piece of paper tape, which stops the joint from cracking.
Right.
And then 2 finished coats that get feathered out and then slightly sanded, and then they'll get painted.
I think we can... Now, we've got all this... Every rafter here has been taped off.
That's right. See over here, these beams have been covered with this masking paper.
Yeah.
And look at, I mean, very carefully wrapped so they're
Right.
tight, not only to protect it from the compound, but later they're going to come in here and spray the paint on
Yeah,
it. So.
I mean, that's an essential part of the job, or else you'd ruin our lovely beams.
That's right.
Now, at last count, we had, what, 14 skylights? Unless you guys have slipped a few more in.
Now, there's 14 skylights, and that's another area that takes a lot of work. That one is about half completed. Drywalled, corner bead, and 3 coats of mud on every one of them.
Yeah. Now, I see there's some drywall going in on this skylight up here. Maybe we can see that in a little better detail.
Roger up here is putting up drywall around the opening, and you have to cut a bunch of small pieces. And what he has to do actually is cut his piece, and then he takes this J bead, and it's actually shaped like a J, and that slips over the top of the drywall and fits up against the skylight, so it gives it a nice clean transition.
And
Then corner beads on the bottom and 3 coats of mud on every one of these.
Yeah, well, I've done a few skylights, and I can tell you it's a lot of work.
It is.
Well, there's a lot going on outside, so I'll let you get back to your nice little machine gun there, and I'm going to go check on things out there.
Okay.
Boy, I'll say there's progress out here. We've got our brick walk laid. We've got our beautiful granite pillars set at the entrance here. More brick here. And here's Roger Cook, our enduring landscape contractor. Hi, Roger.
How you doing, Steve?
What are you doing out here on the coldest day of the year, dropping your plants in?
Just timing. It just seems like when we get into these projects, we always end up here in December. It's cold, but we'll be all right.
Well, you got some lovely plant material coming off of here. Why don't you give me the tour?
I like this one. This is a fern spray cypress.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. Tom, is this native?
No, that was imported from Japan about 150 years ago.
How big will this get?
Probably 25 feet or so.
Yeah. Now, what's this next one here?
This is a flowering crab called Edna Mullins. It has a nice white flower on it. It has a semi-drooping habit to it. It also has some fruit on it all winter long that the birds will come to.
Oh, that'll be great. So you're going to use that someplace as a feature?
Yeah, I think we'll use this as a specimen.
Oh,
yeah.
That'll be wonderful. What's
then
this?
We have a blue stallion holly.
Yeah.
This is the male with beautiful color to it.
I love the sheen on the leaves there.
We also have the females that have a real nice red berry set to them, winter hardy, and again, something we'll use as a specimen planting.
Now, how are all these plants going to be like dropping into soil? It's about 10 degrees.
The temperature of the soil won't affect us. What we're worried about is freezing. So what we're going to do is when we put these in, we're going to put a big 6 or 8 inch layer of mulch on top of them to insulate them.
Right.
Try to keep them from freezing solid.
And then no problem. They'll just do fine?
Yeah, just like they were growing native, so it's no different.
Great. Well, I guess Tom Worth's going to show up pretty soon to show us where to put all these.
Yeah, we're going to lay it out, and he'll be here to straighten us out.
Well, until he comes, why don't I give you a hand unloading some of
Great.
this stuff. Well, not only have we picked the coldest day of the year to finish our landscaping, but we're finishing up our granite patio as well. Now, to my mind, these pavers are set a little wide, and it's got a big gap here that seems to be filled with loam or dirt or something. Now let's go over and talk to Nick O'Hara and Brian Griffin and find out why.
Hi,
Hello,
Steve.
gentlemen.
Hi.
Now, why have you set the pavers so wide apart?
Steve, because I'm going to put loam in between the joints here.
Loam is going to go in there.
Loam. Normally we'd set these pavers on a bed of stone dust.
Because
of the loam, we need to set a stone like this up on a pedestal of mortar. And once we have it set, Brian will level it off here. We cut away the mortar, and it enables the landscape, gives them a nice deep joint.
Yeah.
And it enables the landscaper to put soil in there.
Now, what I don't understand is why couldn't you do the same thing with stone dust?
Well, if we laid the stone on a bed of stone dust, we can only cut away the depth of the stone, because then the stone dust would wash away. This way here, it enables us to get a nice clean joint.
And you run your loam right all the way down, get nice depth to it.
That's correct.
And the landscaper will plant grass in the loam, and it'll, I guess, grow throughout the patio and sort of soften the look of the granite.
That's correct.
Now, this is real nice stone here.
No, that's a Corinthian granite.
Yeah, I know, because a couple of weeks ago, John Devine, who's from a local stone yard, came up to help us choose the material for our patio, and he brought all his samples with him. Let's have a look. Well, very soon, our terrace will be paved with some kind of stone. What exactly, we don't know, and that's why John Devine has come.
Hi, Steve.
You run a showroom in a yard not far from here, and you brought some samples for us to look at.
Yep, I sure did.
What have you got?
Well, we've got 5 different types of paving stone for you to consider. First one is called burgundy.
Yeah. That refers to the color of these little knobs here?
Exactly. That's actually agate.
Yeah.
And not quite gem quality, but it adds a lot of interest to the stone.
Now, this has got a real pronounced grain. How is this to work for a mason?
It's fairly easy to shape the stone, but not really easy to cut it in half or to cut a corner off. So they really have to work with the stone that he's given.
Okay, so they sort of nibble away at it.
Exactly.
What about this one here?
As far as workability, the same idea. This is called heritage.
This has got a real sheen to it here.
Very heavy mica content, yes.
And I also notice it real grainy here.
That's one of the advantages to that. You can very easily open up that seam and get 2 pieces out of one.
So if you have a real thick one, you can split
Absolutely.
it.
Yep.
Good. Next.
Next is called garden path stone, and that's a blue stone from Pennsylvania. And the nice part about this is it's already pre-weathered, so it looks as though it's been down forever as soon as you put it down.
It sure does, and it looks real nice. Okay.
The workability is excellent on that stone also.
Okay.
Yep.
This has got, almost looks like red stain in it.
I'm sure that's an iron content of some type, yeah. That's called Corinthian granite from upstate New York.
And again, it's real striated here.
Exactly. Very easy to split in this plane to get two pieces, but not quite as easy to cut going in the other direction. So again, you have to shape it more than cut it.
All right, and our last sample here.
Last one is called South Bay Quartzite. And again, that's kind of a sandstone, fairly easy to work and to cut and shape for the mason.
Okay. Now what about cost? On all these
Okay,
different
cost varies. The first two we looked at and the last two are about $3.50 a square foot. The one in the middle is the bargain. That's about $1.70.
Boy, it looks like I've got beer tastes on a champagne budget. I kind of like that one.
Okay, that sounds good to me.
Okay, also we have some brickwork here. Tom Worth has put a brick pathway here in on his plan.
Okay.
And have you brought some brick samples for us too?
Yeah, I got 4 things for you to look at there.
Now this has got a real shiny surface on it. What's this?
That's called a City Hall paver, and that's kind of the standard around here. It's a very well-known brick and very popular.
Is this made in a mold? I see it.
Exactly. It's a sand-molded brick. The clay is actually put into a mold to get its shape.
And what about cost on these?
Costs are up around 47, 48 cents each.
Boy, kind of expensive. How about this one?
Okay, that's called a Nantucket. That again is a sand-molded brick. Cost is about the same as the City Halls, and just a little bit different look, a little bit softer look to it.
I notice these are more uniform too.
Yes, they are. This plant is a little bit more modern than the other one.
So I bet the masons like these better.
A little bit better, absolutely. Okay. Next one is called a Champlain, and those are down around 34 cents each.
Is this molded as well?
Same molded brick, that's right. The advantage of the molded brick, again, is the instant antique look to them, and it gives you the appearance of being down forever almost immediately.
And our last one here.
Last one is called an autumn blend paver. That's made by a different process. Those are an extruded brick. The clay actually comes out of the machine almost like spaghetti, and then is sliced off.
Now, on all of these, do we have any problem with freezing and thawing, with the bricks spalling and cracking?
Okay, they are all designed as a paver, and there is a certain ASTM specification that they have to meet, which they all do meet. You can't buy just any brick as a paver. A face brick will not do. That's when you'll get into problem with freeze and thaw.
So they're all equal in terms of durability?
Absolutely.
Well, I kind of like this one here. It's got a real nice look.
Yep.
And it happens to be one of the least expensive. But can you leave the samples so Tom Worth can have a look at them?
We certainly can. No problem at all.
Well, thanks very much.
Okay, thank you, Steve. Take care.
Well, not only have Nick and Brian laid our beautiful granite patio, but they've also taken the pavers that we just saw and laid them in this beautiful sweeping walk up to the front door. Nick, how do you get started in a project like this?
What we've done here, Steve, is we have a bit of gravel compacted, and then we put 2 inches of stone dust on top of that. And then on the outside edge, we've used a redwood to form up this walk. And that gives us a nice, clean, crisp curve.
Yeah, I was admiring that.
Thank you. On the inside of that, we place a brick for support. And we place it on edge like this, and we call this a soldier course. And we pound that in the same level as the walkway. And then when the walkway is finished, we strip the redwood away, and this supports the walkway.
Okay, I get the soldier course now. How do you start laying the field?
Let me show you up here, Steve. This is a running bond pattern.
Now, what does that mean?
Well, we start off here with a full brick, a half a brick, full brick, half a brick, all the way across the walk. All the way down through the walk, again running bond. And because we have a curve here, as opposed to a straight walk, what Brian has done, he has cut into the walk a half brick every now and again.
Oh, I see. So because it's curving, the inside radius is tighter than the outside radius, and in order to compensate for the extra distance the outside bricks have to go, you have to cut these bricks every once in a while. And I guess if you didn't do that, they wouldn't line up as neatly as they have here, and you'd end up with something like this.
Which is called a stack bond, and what we have here is a running bond.
Well, this is gorgeous. I'll let you guys get back to work. I have to go off and find Tom Worth.
Thank you, Steve.
Cheers. Well, here on the west side, things aren't rolling along quite as quickly as they are on the other side. Well, we've still got to rake it up. If the budget allows, we'll put some more granite down, some sod. But here's Tom Worth, freezing, putting in our grape arbor. Hi, Tom.
Just in the nip of time, let's hope.
I would say.
Well, I think that this really is very appropriate for the character of this barn, Steve, in a sense. It's almost as if the farmer went out and cut down these cedar saplings and installed it himself.
Yeah.
But Doug Floyd has been doing it for us over here.
Hi, Doug. How did you get this rustic look?
Well, it's what they call hand peeling.
Hand peeling, just like a banana?
Just like a banana or an orange. We have the guys in the shop, they take each one of these and they start at one end and they peel it right down.
Now, why hand peeling?
Well, it gives it that rustic look, and it won't knock off these nubs that you see here like a machine would.
I see. Now, Tom, I see you've got this overlap here. Why did you choose that detail?
I think it's a very pleasant kind of bypass system here in that if you cut them straight, there would only be a little bit of purse against the post here. So this is just both aesthetic and practical.
So it sort of enhances the rustic look,
Sure does, and a little cut end off of here.
Great. Now, we've got another piece of fence over here. Why don't you give me the tour?
Alrighty. Well, this is just a standard picket fence, essentially.
Well, it's
Steve.
standard, but you know, I love the proportions. It seems just right.
That's not exactly by accident. It's about 3 feet high. We thought it was just the right proportion to frame the edge of this little garden.
Yeah.
The picket, though, is something that we had several choices of. This one I like because it, kind of repeats the barn form.
Right.
The other choices were these ones that were cut somewhat in the same sort of slope. Some with a more circular kind of form or a top.
And this one looks like it was just ripped off a tree.
Well, it's a very rough split sapling stick.
Any problems putting this fence together?
Well, Doug can tell us about that.
Well, in the colonial days, these were called pails.
Yeah.
And they were made by a water sawn mill process.
Uh-huh.
And
how did that work?
Of course, we don't have water sawn mill processing today. We have the circular saw.
Uh-huh.
And we had to develop and ping up a bandsaw blade in order to get the right effect that we wanted.
So I see what you mean. These marks here were originally made with an up and down saw that was driven by water, and you guys had to replicate that.
That's right.
Now, what about these galvy nails? They didn't have those in old Williamsburg.
No, they didn't. They're galvanized nails to take care of the bad weather that we have in New England and don't rust out and all that kind of stuff.
Okay. Tom, what's this thing here?
Well, this is one of my favorite details right here, Steve. This is a self-closing gate. It's a ball and chain. The weight of the chain of the ball here forces the gate to close automatically. Isn't that clever?
Nice sound, too.
Yeah, isn't it?
Now, we have another piece of fence up here, too. Why don't you show me that?
It's put right against the granite post up here. Let's take a look.
Well, Tom, what did you have in mind up here?
Well, as you know, Steve, we found these beautiful old granite posts in the basement.
Yeah.
And we decided to use them up here to flank our entranceway.
That's lovely.
So we put them just a little to the outside edge of the brick walk, and then we're bringing the fence section up to help define the court space and attaching it to this granite post. Now, Doug has developed a neat detail to make the attachment here.
Well, let's see that one, Doug.
Well, what we've done, Steve, is we've drilled 2 holes, top and bottom here. We insert these 2 pins. Of course, we'll cement those pins in, and then we just lie the fence section right on top of it here, the rails, and then we fasten them from the bottom up on both rails.
Out of the weather, eh?
Out of the weather.
And that's all there is to it?
That's all there is to it.
All right, simple, elegant, a perfect Yankee solution.
That works.
Doug, thanks a lot. Now, Tom, it's 10 degrees and we still have sod to put down, more trees to go in, and a driveway. How about it?
Well, I can promise you the driveway, Steve, for sure. I'm a little worried about the plants and the sodding, but let's keep our fingers crossed. Maybe we'll get lucky.
Yeah, okay. Well, meantime, there's one more thing I have to do, which is head down to the cellar and check in on the wick wires. You know, I love to see this. Homeowners hard at work on their home.
How
are you folks doing?
Good. Glad you came now.
Yeah. Well, you know, insulation is not my favorite job, but it looks like you guys have a pretty good system worked out.
Yeah, really? we do. I'm up on the ladder, and Barb's down here cutting and then feeding up the pieces to me.
Well, Barb, show me your technique.
Yeah, I cut them in about 12-foot lengths because that's easy to manage, and then I just cut them with my trusty knife and use this as a guide.
And compresses the insulation there, making it easy to cut.
Cut them on a board so I don't hurt the knife. Hand them up to Lynn, and away we go.
You just put that down.
Feeding them right into the bays there.
Yeah. And what I use, where we don't have the wires to hold it up, are these wire supports that are a little longer than each bay. You just bend them and slide them into place, and they keep it from dropping.
Yeah.
And we're keeping the vapor barrier close to the heat upstairs.
Right. Well, you know, insulating is a kind of a long, somewhat tedious process, but by the end of it, you will have saved yourself quite a bit of money, and you'll be keeping the heat where you want it, which is upstairs.
It builds upper body, too.
Yeah. Well, you know, the last time we talked, a homeowner, a resident of your town had filed a complaint with the Board of Appeals contesting the validity of our building permit. Now, what's happened with that?
Well, the Board of Appeals heard the case a couple of weeks ago, and 2 nights ago, they threw out the case.
Threw it out?
Yes, right. Absolutely. She did not have standing, and therefore the case is finished. She is not an aggrieved party.
So what does that mean?
Well, she's not in a butter or in a butter of an abutter.
So that's where it shakes out.
That's right.
Well,
We're
you must
finished.
be really relieved.
Absolutely.
Well, now there's another matter. You know, we're down maybe to the last 10% of the project. We've just got a little more work outside, and the drywallers are rolling away up there. We're about ready to start putting in tile. Heat's starting to go in. And this is the time in a project where budget and reality either meet or collide. So where do we stand on budget?
Well, we worked on budget last night, and I put some things together. We're in good shape, we think. We think that it'll work out so we come in right where everybody thought we would. Known expenses to date are $208,500. Another estimate of things that we have not yet gotten, but we think we're fairly close, another $28,000. So that what we come up with is $236,500. So it comes in at the $225 plus a contingency. We think we'll be right there.
Great. That's remarkable.
Yeah,
it's a nice feeling.
I bet. Looks like good news on all fronts. And, you know, I won't hold you up any longer, but congratulations on that appeals decision.
Oh, thanks.
Good to see you.
You know, I guess a lot of us were fooled by this timber frame. Remember that afternoon it went up? 4 hours we had a whole building standing here. I have to admit that I thought it would be 2 weeks before the Wickwires moved in. Well, it's taken a lot of time and a lot of meticulous craftsmanship to flesh this building out with sensitivity to that frame. But it really won't be long now. Next time, Richard Trethewey is going to take us on a trip to Germany in search of the perfect power plant to drive our heating system. Till then, Steve Thomas for This Old House.
Funding for This Old House is provided by State Farm Insurance and the more than 17,000 State Farm agents. For family insurance needs, auto, home, life, and health, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. And by Parks Corporation, makers of Carver Trip wood stains, clear finishes, and enamels, products that enrich, protect, and preserve the natural beauty of wood.
This is PBS. This Old House is made possible by members' support and by a grant from Phillips Brothers Supply, 2525 Kensington Avenue, Amherst, specializing in tools for contractors, industry, homeowners, and hobbyists.